Well, thank you very, very much, Maurice, for that very kind introduction. And, of course, I want to stress to everybody, when I said that about focusing on youth violence and youth opportunities, actually, you must bear in mind that we've made great progress already on homelessness, and I wasn't in any way minimizing that side of things, and we've done a great deal for, particularly for entrenched, rough sleepers. But I do want to congratulate you, Maurice, and everybody involved in what you've done here. This Faith Forum for London, I think, is incredibly important, and it's great. I mean, we had one meeting, by the way, which Maurice didn't mention, in City Hall, where I prepared a torrential sort of 45-minute speech, and only about 3 people turned up. But we're doing better, and it's growing, and I think that this is something that people want to share in and to participate in. And I pay particular tribute to you, Maurice, for your efforts to bring, I think I'm right in saying London is the only part of the country where we don't have, there hasn't been such a body to bring faiths together and to share experience and understanding. Now, I thought I'd give some focus and shape to my remarks today by bringing along a sacred object in my rucksack. Absolutely, I've got it in my, here it is, it's down there. In some parts of London, the object I have in my rucksack is the very embodiment of prestige. It is the vital piece of regalia for every young gang leader, an item of such political, economic, and social importance that people vie to possess the right one. And as we've seen, as we saw last August, they will break windows, they will wreck shops and livelihoods, they will risk prison sentences to get hold of one of these objects. Now, can you guess what it is, folks? Can you guess what I have? What do I have here? Yeah, I can see. It's not an iPad. You've got it. The lady Reverend over there, she spotted it. Look, here it is. This is my trainer. I use it every morning. What would you notice about this trainer? Pretty elegant. What?
It's big.
Well, it's big. It's biggish. I think you will agree. Though the eagle-eyed amongst you connoisseurs of trainers will have spotted that this is not a particularly smart or flashy kind of trainer, is it? No? It doesn't have an air ball or anything like that. As far as I know. But the point about this trainer is that it is just as good as any other type of trainer. Isn't it? It is. It is just as good. You could give me any other type of trainer in the world, and I would run no faster. Would I? No. You give me any other type of trainer in the world, it would smell no better, frankly, after I'd used it for a prolonged, yeah? And so I'm driven to ask, frankly, I have to ask this morning, what has gone wrong with us as a society that there are so many. Is Camilla Batman-Gedich here, by the way? She was mentioned many times in this. Is she here? I don't see her. She's coming later on, good. But there are plenty of people who understand this issue very, very well. So I'll ask the question, what has gone wrong with us as a society that there are so many young people who believe that their identities, their self-worth, or whatever, are bound up in the possession of the right kind of running shoes? And I ask you, what kind of madness is it that drives them to attack shops, to steal, and to commit arson for the sake of a trainer, or the right type of trainers? And I know that there are people here who have the answers, aren't there? Lots of people will have studied this question and looked at the problems of materialism and aspiration. And I want to pay tribute very seriously to all the good work that you do, all the great work that's done by faith groups of one kind or another dealing with young people. And I suppose the analysis would be that the possession of these material objects is a form of compensation, yes? Making up for what? A lack of self-esteem? Possibly? A lack of real self-belief, yes, possibly, a real fear of inadequacy, making up, projecting, making up by attaching importance to the possession of one material object or another, one brand or another. And I know, and I think we all know, that we've got to move beyond that, haven't we? We've got to move beyond that. And I want a London, to paraphrase, I think it was Martin Luther King, I want a London where people are judged not on the spotlessness of their trainers, but on the content of their character, yes? Right? That's what I want in our city. And of course, the first remedy for what happened last August, the first remedy for the problems of us, is to have proper policing, isn't it? And that's what we've got, and it means making sure that people understand that if they rob and they steal and they make other people's lives a misery, they will be punished. And that was, I think, the first lesson of the riots of last August. That, I think, if you look back at that first evening, you saw a criminal problem being effectively treated as a public order problem. And I think that was the wrong way. That was the wrong way to go. And I think the police now completely understand that and recognise that. And that's an important lesson that we've learned, and we want to move on. And I'm glad, by the way, that this is a city where crime is coming down, has come down very substantially over the last 4 years, to pick a period entirely at random. More than 10%. Crime on the tube now down 20%. The safest metro system anywhere in Europe. Crime on buses down 30%. By the way, the crime on buses down 33%, I should say. Partly, I think, thanks to the ban on alcohol, which I think was the right thing to do. And people often criticise politicians for coming up with crime statistics of one kind or another, but you can't fudge the murder rate, can you? Very difficult with modern DNA technology to dispose of a corpse. The murder rate is now down 25% in the last 4 years, and I congratulate the police on what they're achieving. One of the first lessons of the events of last August, the riots, has got to be to have robust policing. But we all know, and Maurice said it, and everybody knows that is not enough, is it? It's not. You don't solve these problems. You don't solve the issues. You don't solve the problems we saw last August just by robust policing. Of course it's important, but that's not enough. You've got to have all kinds of interventions, all kinds of strategies to deal with the spiritual void that makes people ache inside for the right kind of trainer and make them define themselves by that possession. And that is why we need to work together with all the groups that you represent. We need to work together to build self-belief, amongst our young people. And you can only do that by giving them love and attention. And that means mentoring, it means supporting youth groups, it means supporting activities of all kinds that I know many of you are involved with, and it means, of course, building a sense of community, isn't it? This is a great, great city, but too many people don't know each other by their first names in our streets. And if you encourage people to know each other by their first names and you find mechanisms to develop that sense of community, then in every street where you do that, you will find that crime comes down. And that's why we're so determined to go ahead with not just supporting the work that you are doing, but by building Team London, our volunteering body, and we've already signed up about 100,000 people to do all kinds of things, simple things like growing food, bringing kids together to grow food, plant trees, organizing the cadets, the guides, those ever so slightly uncool sounding but incredibly popular groups that give young people a different kind of environment, a different kind of esteem, a different kind of prestige from the one that they find in the gangs. And that's why we support them so passionately. And let's be honest, you look back at last August and the analysis of who was involved. It was a conspicuous feature of the riots that so many of those young people were academic underachievers. And that wasn't because they lacked the raw ability, was it? It was because in their lives, nobody had been able to get through to them and help them. And that's why it's absolutely vital that we teach them, to teach young people before they reach the age of 11, teach them to read and do mathematics. And that is a crucial part of what we are trying to do through Team London, to recruit many more people to go into our schools to help young people to overcome that basic barrier of literacy. Because if people, I mean, we got 1 in 4 11-year-olds in London are still functionally illiterate. Now, how are they going to find jobs? How are they going to build their self-esteem if they can't use that basic tool of economic empowerment? And that's why literacy matters. And it's fundamentally vital that we get these people into work. And I am absolutely ruthless, or I will use any means I can find to encourage young people into places of work and opportunity. And that's why we're building the apprenticeship scheme, and I'm thankful for all the businesses in London that are taking part. We've done 54,000 apprenticeships, helping young people into a place of work to discover the skills, the cunning, if you like, that you need to survive, the competitive work ethic that you discover in a place of work. What we've done, 54,000, we want to go up to 100,000, 150,000. And it's vital to generate jobs in our city by investing in the things that will produce employment for the long term. Building more homes, investing in our transport infrastructure that will push London forward. And of course, using the funds we have available, that we've secured from government. I mean, Maurice said that there wasn't any money, but actually we've gone in ruthlessly to the Treasury and we've wrestled money away from them. We are going to invest that money in Croydon and in Tottenham and in the areas that suffered so badly in those riots. And of course, all these things, all these interventions, working with young people, mentoring, expanding the youth groups, doing things to promote employment, expanding the apprenticeship scheme, investing in the big schemes that will drive employment. All these things will take time, won't they? It will take time. There is no instant answer to our problems. And it will take a lot of work and a lot of effort to turn around the lives of young people. And it will mean that a lot of us will have to engage in training. And I'm going to revert to the point I began with. What do you need for training? What do you need? Thank you. You need trainers. You need trainers, don't you? In order to help our young people, we need many. That's why we set up Team London, to make it easier for people to volunteer, easier for people to sign up. I hope you'll all sign up. Sign up for Team London. There's plenty of scope for everybody of all ages. It doesn't matter what you look like, who you are, like a trainer. Doesn't matter what brand you are or how decrepit you are or whatever. All that matters is that you care about this city and you want to give something back and that you think you've got something to offer. And we'll make it easy for you. Thank you very, very much, everybody, for listening. I believe very, very strongly that if we work together and if the faith groups that are represented here continue with and intensify their work of coordination, then we can take London forward, can't we? We can move on from the events of last year, and we can make sure that London is not only, which it is, the greatest financial city on earth, isn't it? I'm afraid it is, absolutely. It will and still will be. The greatest artistic and the greatest cultural city on earth? It is? Isn't it? Yes, thank you. Let's have a bit of enthusiasm for our great city. It is the greatest, but it is also what we're going to achieve. We're going to make it the greatest city on earth for a young person to grow up in. That's the aim. Thank you very much.